Well, we're here today with Rickie Lee Jones, her new album, the Sermon on Exposition, Boulevard. You can't start talking about this album without talking about your friend Lee Cantalon's project, The Words, which I know began as a spoken word album of the words of Jesus Christ. And he brought you into it.
Right.
And then, as you explained to us so eloquently upstairs, the project changed entirely when you decided to sing Nobody Knows My Name.
Yeah.
And that whole episode obviously just sounds so magical in the way it's described. It seems so beautiful and wonderful. Did you know when you sang that song that the project just took a totally different turn?
No. Everything I go to do, I'm wide open to what might happen. So I was invited to read. But the main thing that we're doing is what we're really doing when we read is we're singing the word. We're singing it out, we're making a joyful noise. And as it turned out, that became quite literal, And I guess, I'd never thought this till this interview, but I guess somewhere in my mind I thought, if reading the exact word doesn't say what needs to be said, we'll say it some other way, So with that in mind, this whole other thing, idea came out. And look what it's done, it's caught the attention of people. It's profound and joyful. And maybe if we would have limited ourselves to reading the words as they lay there, it might not have gone as far as we did by having an open ear to what else might be being said, by the invisible world. So by listening to your heart and being open, all this other music came that when it was all over and I had absconded with the project, it felt like, the Sermon on Exposition Boulevard.
You talk about the invisible world.
Yeah.
And I've read other things by you, and I've never known you to be, from anything you've said before, an overtly religious person. Yet you speak of this invisible world and this beyond and this larger thing. What attracted you to this project? This originally began as the words of Jesus.
Right.
And yet you were brought into this project, yet you're almost on the other side to some degree.
Well, politically, I'm very left. I don't believe in religions because I don't believe in clubs. I don't know how you can ask people to follow a prescribed set of ideas and say, agree with all this and sign here and then walk away, because I think every person sings the song of God, and every diverse, different idea is part of the language of God. And the more you limit that, and say everybody think the same thing, well, you're missing out on all these other ideas that's all God speaking to us. It's not just, and I think that's a big mistake, to not, here's how I always phrase it like this. So in the beginning was the Word, right? It's the living Word, and it's spoken from the beginning until the end, and we're part of it. Every life that's lived is part of that one word that's being spoken. I like to say it that way. So if you don't let everybody speak their part, their life that is part of the Word, then you miss, all these little amoebas of God, all these little pieces of God. So, whatever words you use to describe it and make it funny or make it serious, the thing is that there's a visible world and we give it a name. And then a lot of people try to give it human attributes and say it gets mad, it punishes, it rewards, it does this. I'm not so sure about that. I think it's inexplicable, and the closest we get to describing it is when we sing, when we feel joy, maybe when we feel profound love, emotional or sexual, but when we're feeling these profound, powerful feelings of joy and hope and love is when I think, are closest to God. I've always thought that, and if anybody asked me, I would have said it in interviews. There's little traces of, how how I talk to the invisible world in my work, but never religious and never interested in converting anybody. You know, I respect what people, and also I'm always a changing person, so you know, to go, this is what I believe forever, just I just don't know that that's true. I'm just going to keep taking in information and see what I find out by the time I'm done.
Somewhere, I think it was in the liner notes somewhere, it was Lee who said that the album, and that whole feeling comes across so strongly in this. You said it was a burst of humanity, and that you talk about this joyful experience on it. I mean, what was the recording like? It seemed so like a natural burst of energy.
I think what was the most special thing about the recording is that it wasn't official. You know, it was in the artist's loft that had his oils in it, and the smell of oils, and all around us were garages, and so the things we saw and heard and felt as we walked in, it wasn't like going into a recording studio, and so it had a casualness, and that kept me relaxed and let me go in place. And also because it wasn't my music, you know, they had already recorded these tracks before I got there, and I just put on the headphones and made up songs. But I had nothing to do in a managerial position. You know, I didn't hire anybody. This was freed me in a lot of ways. It was really good for me.
Well, it was, you know, you got a sense for that sort of lo-fi, just very organic approach to this thing. You just grabbed what instruments were around.
Exactly.
And even upstairs when you're sort of reaching down and playing the drums, I mean, whatever was around you. And I think that whole feeling sort of went through the entire album, and it's just one of those things where it infuses a spirit in it that's just totally unique. And I don't think that even a departure from your previous albums, which have that sort of jazzy, bluesy, sometimes produced feeling, just felt like a return to even maybe a little bit of that Ghosty had period for you.
I did that a little on stage, you know, that anything goes while we play this, and whatever you pick up and play is what you can play, and every night it's different. And I like bringing that to the stage. I like bringing that to the, you know, performers, to the musicians, and getting them to take risks. It creates an excitement that the audience feels and responds to. And I think, I think you're right, that we continue to do that on the stage a little bit. And it makes it thrilling for us.
Your fans love to follow you and to sort of check in on you every album and to see what you're doing and what you're interested in right now. And every album is sort of a statement, a moment in time in your life. And I think you're blessed to some degree with this group of people that just love to go on these explorations with you.
Yeah, I am.
But there's also that group that likes the last album you did, and they're new to the bandwagon. It just takes them a while to come. Yeah. And there's people who only want to hear Chucky's in Love.
I think that's the hard thing in a way about my work, is that it's not that it's ahead of its time, but it's just, it's always new. And so there's always a whole group of people who take a year or two or three and then go, wow, that really was a great record. But it was hard. I might be like them myself if I was a listener, but it was hard at the time to come to it, you know. So I'm so grateful for people who get it right away, because I know, you know, the records are really best, it seems, for the population at large to come, if they keep promoting the work for 6 months, they'll find that more people will come to it, because it's just not the kind of thing that, my records are never the kind of thing that people go, oh yeah, I get it, you know. Except this one, they're kind of...
There's a couple radio possibilities on here, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think it rocks out. But, it's hard to be an artist. I mean, it's hard to, like, follow your muse and all those things that are attached to your name every time you read articles about you.
Because you're making it as you go, and they keep trying to say what it is, you know, but you can't ever say what it is, because I'm making it as I go. You can't put me in a genre. I'm making the genre as I go. I'm expanding it and putting it there. So, you know, maybe there are people who, you know, will allow marketing people and just play one kind of thing, but for me, I'm making it as I go. You know?
And you have the benefit of 10 albums or 12 or however many albums now. And there's a lot of younger artists out there who may look at you as a role model but has an even tougher time. They don't have the path blazing that you've done for yourself, where you can go on these excursions and these explorations.
I've been really blessed that way, you
Yeah.
know. I've had some people and companies always employ me and have faith and you know, give me a job. I've been really blessed, and never did anybody ever come and tell me what to do. So I hear that that doesn't happen very often, but I've been really blessed, you know, really.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today. Love
Thank
this
you
performance.
guys. Thanks for talking to me. Thanks for supporting this work. I'm really, I was saying, you know, how large corporations support large corporate, you know, entities, you know, and how important it is that art that's not really large has something like this to stand by it and bring it to the people.
Happy
Very
to be
grateful.
there. It's lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.